I'd like to bring the first meeting of 2018 Support Services Committee to order. When I was here a few years back, I chaired the Social Services Committee for 3 years. And very busy committee, a lot going on in that building, but there's a major stark differences. As you know, social services can raise emotions to a very high pitch. You may or may not also know that there are a number of people in the county who would pull the plug on that building without a bat of an eyelash. The people over there, on an hourly basis, raise the life of hundreds of people in this county, some from the very pits of desperation. Now you contrast it to this committee. The crowd is left. We have 10 departments under this committee, 6 of which are today. The auditor is not here today. Well, actually, Amanda from the Board of Supervisors clerk, she's here but not addressing the committee. The administrator is not addressing the committee, and self-insurance and our insurance department are not addressing it. But these are not exciting committees, perhaps, unless you're intimately involved with them, but they are actually significant integral gears in keeping this county running, not only county government, but our society as a whole. You take the people who do these jobs away, and things around Warren County start falling apart very quickly. So I'm glad to be a chair of this committee. I'm learning a lot, and there's a lot more to learn. So we're going to start right away with our first department head, and that's for IT, Mike Colvin.
Afternoon. Simple agenda today. First is requesting a resolution to transfer money from the Computer Reserve Fund to the appropriate departments to purchase budgeted items. The money sits in the reserve fund, and so we move it back over. And there's stuff that we had planned on to do.
I move the motion by Supervisor Leggett.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
To approve all appropriations.
Do I have a second? Discussion? Mike, if you could take a moment to explain your reserve fund.
Yep. So with technology stuff, we have highs and lows for what we need, and we use it for everything. And for budgeting, it was very painful for the county to need a little bit of money this year, then need $500,000 another year later. So it was asked a long time ago to come up with the numbers best we can so we could put the same dollar amount away every year so that it would build up so we'd have money we needed each year, and when we hit that high year, we already had it set aside instead of, it makes the budgeting process much easier. And it's working out really well, from what I understand, so it's all there. And it allows us other things to do where we were buying maintenance contracts for stuff because we were scared we wouldn't have money for emergency repairs. So we paid that money out, nothing broke. We didn't get, we lost our money. Now the money sits there, so if there is a disaster, we've been saving that money. There were some contracts we were, since I've started, we have over $30,000 a year of maintenance contracts we've gotten rid of. That money's just stacking up in the account to buy stuff we'll need when we need it. We've been saving that.
Thank you. Any discussion from anyone? Okay, I'll call a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Was there anything else, Mike?
And then the second resolution is to enter into a contract with a vendor for phone system maintenance. This is particular, we were paying $18,000 a year for phone maintenance, whether something broke or not. So we've pushed that money into the reserve fund, but because of it, we need to have a contract in place to be able to pay for personal services. So this is to put this in place so that if we do have issues and have to pay them, that we have a contract so we can, get the services and pay them up to a limit of, I think, $3,000 a year, I think, $3,000, or excuse me, the contract's up to $5,000 a year. Just to say that we could spend up to that much if we needed to in an emergency.
Let me ask a question. Amanda, can we include all 3 of these? These are purchases, or they have to be separate motions?
This right here is what's already been approved. Those are the appropriations to the...
You're doing the carousel. Oh, okay. Very good.
I'll move that.
All right. Sorry about that.
Question?
Yes, second for the motion? Second?
Sure. I have a question.
Okay. Discussion, yes.
Mike, so this service contract that we're going to enter into, where do we sit on the priority list in terms of their response with the resources that they have. Because there's some phone services here that we would think are critical
Mhm.
to the operation of the county, right? So we would like to be able to be like, I know you have a contract with someone else, but we need you right here, right now.
Yeah, so that when I did speak to them about that, they said, they tried to say, yeah, if you don't pay the $18,000 a year, then you don't take priority if somebody else happens to call at the same time. So you're prioritized based on if nobody's called in, we're doing all right. If they have a bunch of calls, and they, of course, they're going to take care of the people that paid maintenance ahead of time. But our experience has been in the well over 10 years of having that contract, it's never really happened.
Is 911 part of this?
No, it's a completely separate system. That
What
has
social
a-
services is?
Correct, yep. Yeah, the whole county, both this building and over there are all in one system.
Yes, and things like that would
Yep.
be part of this program also.
Yep.
Is there anything we can do to get a higher priority out of these guys for some of those mission critical?
So they're telling me the only thing to do is to pay the $18,000 a year maintenance, to just pay it and be on call.
Right, not
or
to label it back, but could we get a second source provider for service, just in case these guys are busy and can't show up for 3 days, that we can get a second source?
So we kind of already have one, because it's all the phones are really on a network, computer network, so we actually have a contract with our network vendor. So the last time when we were having an issue going back and forth, we actually had our network vendor in on it as well, who could troubleshoot things.
But I'm not sure if that answered my
Yeah.
question, right? So we got a specific phone problem.
Mhm.
We have one vendor that we're going to have a not to exceed contract with, or so to speak,
Yep.
right? If they're busy, can the network guys handle that? Or do we have to find a different telephone service team to help us?
Yeah, I guess it would depend on which part of the phone system failed. So we could look at finding a secondary one in addition to this one to have another backup.
So I'd like to request that you kind of identify some redundancy for us.
Sure.
Some of those, I'm assuming some of those phone calls might be serious.
Mhm.
And first comes to mind is CPS. Mr.
Yep.
Chairman, you might agree or disagree, but I'm thinking that we may want to have some ability to turn this on quicker.
Yep, okay. Yeah, and the way the phone system works now, just so everybody's comfortable with it, everything equipment-wise is redundant. So if one piece fails, if it flips over, and really nobody should be any the wiser. So we're in good shape there. It's just, like I said, it's that balance between paying $18,000, which we've been paying, but yeah, it's very important to get it back up as well. It's finding that balance. So yeah, we can find it like another vendor to also provide like a secondary backup.
Makes sense. Supervisor Liggett.
Thank you, Chairman. How's it gone now? Have we had problems?
That's how I made the decision. Is over the last 10 years, I look at we spend 180 grand, and at the end of the year, it's been good stuff, and it doesn't go down because of have there been issues? Sure, but nothing major because of the redundancy that's in there. And actually, last year we found one piece of all the redundancy. It all came back to one piece that wasn't redundant. We're about to change that piece, so it is redundant to fully vet that out. But for the immediate calls, it just hasn't happened.
Any other questions? Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. It seems I've overlooked the minutes, so I'll entertain a motion to accept last month's or last meeting's minutes, which were from November. Anyone? Supervisor Sokol, second. Supervisor Liggett. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, next we have Herb Levin from Weights and Measures.
Good afternoon. I'm here basically to discuss and hopefully approve hiring a per diem part-time inspector for my department. In this last year, over 1,300 devices have been inspected. I have been instructed by Albany, the New York State Waste and Measures Department, to make my priority the inspection of devices. By that I mean every device in the county that's used in commerce to measure something. That has to be done, and there's probably about 5% more devices coming. There's 2 large truck stop type gas stations, as well as another Stewart's in Glens Falls with gas pumps. I inspect gas pumps, scales, truck scales, the airport refuelers. They all have to be inspected for accuracy. What the part-time person would be doing is doing pricing accuracy, enforcing ag and markets regulations. Pricing accuracy, every retailer has to comply with pricing accuracy. Also package checking, making sure that a pound of butter is a pound of butter, which incidentally it usually is. But I have no time at all to do the non-mandated work. I have a gentleman who I previously worked with him for the last 12 years. He's a state specialist 1. He recently retired in September, and he is willing to work 1 day a week. We do have this budgeted for a total of $8,000. Position is basically, we're working it out with civil service because he cannot do mandated inspections because it would conflict with his previous employment with New York State. But he can do pricing accuracy, package checking. There's other inspections that he can do. For instance, we check for skimmers, those little illegal devices that steal people's identities and credit card information out of gas pumps. That has been added to the gas pump inspections. It's not mandated yet, but it will be. And it's suggested, strongly suggested, and I strongly agree that it should be. I was discussing that matter with one of the gas stations here. Every few weeks, another skimmer in New York State has been found, and it's basically consumer protection that has entered into my job. Every year, there's more and more stuff to do. Having an extra person who, incidentally, is extremely well-versed in weights and measure law would be great. The Human Resources Department has recommended, we have the $8,000 budgeted, but we don't have a hourly wage. I basically thought that $23.50, that's my basis for the $8,000 at one, roughly, average of 1 day a week. So I need the committee's approval on the hourly wage as well as the position itself.
I'll entertain a motion along that line, please.
What you're making a motion on.
All right.
This-
You're going to clarify.
Yes.
Amanda, okay, go
This
ahead.
position is in the budget. There is, unless you're looking to create another per diem, there is one per diem. It's in the salary schedule for $8,000. What you're looking to do is amend the salary schedule to state that this is going to be an hourly wage of how much?
$23.50.
$23.50, and then you would also be authorizing to fill that position.
That accurately reflects what you're asking.
Perfect.
Perfect. May I have a motion to approve this?
Just a question, would that be not to exceed $8,000?
$8,000 is all that's budgeted, so we can't,
Okay.
there's no more than that.
Right.
But it would be that at the $23 per hour, 1 day a week, or
And since we're starting later in the year, we'll never get to 8,000.
Motion by Supervisor Sokol, second, please. Second by Supervisor Driscoll. Further discussion? Supervisor Leggett.
So, $23.50 an hour, how does this relate to other grade and step for, you know, like kind work? And then also on vehicles, are they using their own, they using the county vehicle? And are there any other additional costs besides the FICA and Medicare that goes on top of that as well?
There would be no extra cost, no Medicare or anything like that. It would strictly be a salary. What I thought, as far as I do have a county vehicle, I can drop him off wherever he's going to be and on my way to gas pumps, and then pick him up when he's done. Or we might have permission for him to use the truck. I'm sorry, I forgot the other point.
Well, it was, you know, I'm thinking if we're paying $23.50 an hour, that you do have additional that goes on top of that.
Social Security, Medicare.
But how does it compare with job duties of like positions in the county? That was
We don't have any like positions in the county. This is kind of a specialized thing. One of the reasons we're doing this is it was noted in the audit that we
Right.
needed to tighten up, and that's partially why we're doing this part-time position to help Mr. Levin and, you know, stay current.
This is part of the corrective action plan?
Corrective action from the part of the audit and to get the paperwork done. But I don't think there's anything in this. He's sort of been alone in ever since he's taken this job, and it's become more and more complex. And there's a lot of paperwork stuff that has to be done that we were a little bit lax on, but this will help us get caught up. And I can't say where this matches up. There's no benefit job at $23.50 an hour, so that's all we can really say about it. I don't know where it compares to other weights and measures people throughout the state.
It's very, it compares very well with other counties that have similar number of devices, and other counties that do have assistant directors, for instance, Saratoga County. It's significantly less than he was making per hour in the state. So as far as, you know, individual comparison, it's lower. It is probably higher than some hourly wage that's paid by the county. This is a very skilled position, and that's why it's probably at the high end of hourly wages. He has to be aware of books and books of procedural regulations from NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology. All inspections have to be done on an extremely scientific, random procedure.
I have a question. Forgot everybody's in the sequence. $8,000 budgeted, 23 or 2250, but going back to Supervisor Leggett's question, how do we cover? We're taking out state and federal tax. We're also taking out 7% for Social Security, but we're paying 7% Social Security.
Right.
Is that covered in the 8,000, or is that covered in the 2250, up to $8,000?
It's $23.50. We could include Social Security. As I say, I don't anticipate using the full $8,000.
Well, it would have to. Say you did, then there would be an extra expense, so that has
Right.
to
You have to come back to committee.
Right, I'd have to come back. But as I say, I don't anticipate.
You-
This does have to go to personnel, so possibly we could get that information.
Okay.
You know, that
We'll sort that out
within
when it goes to personnel.
the committees and things.
Okay, Supervisor Hyde. Or Andrea
Thank you.
Hogan. Sorry.
It does sound like an opportunity that you have somebody who's trained and can step right into this position. Are we calling this a temporary position though, or?
I would say permanent, because this problem, as far as a one-person person position that I have, the problem isn't going to go away. Not with so many devices in this county. As Mr. Garrity said, the audit was critical, not only to Warren County, but to the state office, that simply not enough devices were being inspected. They have the same problem, they're understaffed. The one thing I would like to say is that the work that he's going to be doing, the package checking, the pricing accuracy, it is subject to civil penalties if there's a problem. And in the past, I've recovered anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000 in civil penalties that's paid to the general fund of the county. I don't want to promise revenue, but I'm sure there's going to be revenue, especially with someone dedicated to that particular endeavor.
It does sound like there's a definite need here, but my concern is that we're putting a Band-Aid on it and not actually addressing the problem. I mean, this is a singular position designed for an individual. What's the sustainability of a 1 day a week?
I don't know. I don't know how long he would be willing to do this. On the other hand, if the position exists as a part-time, there's probably a good...
Excuse me, it's per diem. It's not going to be part-time. It's a per diem position.
Right.
Okay.
Right. There's a good possibility that if he vacates the position, there would be somebody else that could be either trained or has already had the training.
Supervisor Wild, you flashed your hand. Did you have something?
Oh, yes, I did, and it may not be directed here, but you mentioned there's a mandated and non-mandated, and this is a non-mandated position, but the audit said we're critical, so it sounds like it is mandated. I guess I'm just questioning what's the difference between mandated, non-mandated, and what do we really have to do?
I don't follow you.
If something's not mandated, why would we do it?
I think I can clarify your question. The jobs that he can do would be non-mandated inspections, correct? As opposed to Herb does a mandated.
I understand.
Okay, so it's just needs to be done. It's not whether it's mandated or not.
Non-mandated is things that we do as we're required by state law.
No, you're absolutely right.
So if it's not mandated, why are we doing it?
We're doing it to lend support for him to bring up his reports up to date. The stuff was falling behind on us, and one of the critical things was the record keeping over there. This will help him catch up his record keeping 1 day a week. We think we can catch up the record. Am I speaking out of term, Herb, or is that what?
My record keeping was fine. It just there was a miscommunication between the auditors and myself as to where the record keeping was. But even though that his position is non-mandated, it was in the audit report that they were critical of it, and it has been in New York State auditors in other counties. They've been very critical of the lack of revenue.
So if we're gonna have a resolution, let's not say that he's gonna do non-mandated work. He's gonna help with reports and the like, but it's...
I haven't seen it. What resolution?
Okay, hold on.
But I thought Herb was saying this is to help with he was going to do non-mandated work.
Correct.
Now I'm hearing from our acting administrator that we're going to be doing paperwork. Let's just be clear about what he's doing.
He is going to be doing non-mandate work, which would include paperwork.
Okay.
The paperwork is not mandated.
But our
But
attorney
the
can
inspections
clarify,
are.
have some clarification.
I think the resolution is just going to say that you approved a per diem position for 23 something an hour. I don't think there are any job duties in the resolution.
It's really the resolution that amends the table of organization. It has a chart that says the position name, the effective
right.
date.
It's just a chart.
This position is already in the salary schedule. It's not filled. It's just sitting there as a per diem position with $8,000 attached to it because the authorization to fill has not been given yet. So what he's looking to do is to clarify that, so that instead of just having, the problem is when this person comes in and it goes to the treasurer's office, they don't have an hourly fee or an hourly rate to pay this person by. So we've started trying to put in hourly rates. Well, that's what he's trying to do, is say $8,000, it's not to exceed $8,000, but we're going to pay him $23.50 per hour. So we're amending the schedule. It won't, that resolution won't speak to what this position is doing. It's just talking about how much you're paying this person when they work. And per diem is all as needed. It's not technically they could come in and work 20 hours this week, or I'm sure there's a part-time limitation, but they could work so many hours this week and they could work 2 hours next week. It's all when he needs them and calls them in, and that's why the hourly rate is most beneficial. But the resolution will in no way speak to what this position is doing. I assume that the civil service will have some kind
I
of
just
job
apologize.
duties.
I just became confused because of the mandated, non-mandated, and what Herb was mentioning was going to be doing here. So I'm fine. Thank you.
Supervisor Bramer.
I just want to say that, I mean, you're right, but there's lots of stuff that our county employees that do that aren't necessarily mandated, but they support the mandated efforts. The other thing I wanted to echo is the idea of sustainability of your department. I have no problems with putting this person, and filling this position. My only concern is filling it with a guy that's retired. Why aren't we using somebody that's younger and can learn and be trained on this? And that's not a question you need to answer right now. I just
can
want it
answer
to
it.
be out
I
there and
take
something you're
offense.
thinking about.
It's someone who's ideal for the position that
Right
I'm
now.
using right now.
Yeah.
And right now is when I need the help.
Right.
To train somebody in all aspects of it would take probably over a year. I mean, the skill level that he has he was my trainer. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
She wants me hanging around.
Okay, we have a time limit for Supervisor McGowan and Supervisor Driscoll.
The only question I get on, I see what you're saying, $8,000 at $23.50 an hour, plus the extra we have to pay in the Social Security and all the other funds really adds up quickly. And then you were talking about dropping him off, and then doing your job, and then when he's done, go pick him up. If you're not done doing your inspection, does he sit around and wait till you're done, or do you drop what you're doing and go back? So then you say, well, or he could take the other truck, which becomes another expense into your apartment. Does that also come off that $8,000? It's just a question. I'm not
No, that's a good question. My thoughts on dropping him off, most of the package checking and the pricing accuracy is really within the larger metropolitan areas. Not so metropolitan. Glens Falls and Queensbury.
which I call the big cities, yes.
Yeah, the big towns. So the distance isn't that much, and it could be scheduled around other inspections as I go through the area. What I try to do is keep all the inspections in one area for that particular day. So this would just be one of the local areas. I don't anticipate him, to be quite honest, driving a county truck or borrowing my truck, because then I'm stuck doing paperwork inside.
Well, no, and I understand. Like I said, just being a businessman for so many years,
Yeah.
And I remember trying to do that, drop people off and do this and that, but, I mean, I'm sure you have a much better picture in your mind of how you do things. I'm big new here, so I will,
Well, one of my
I will
priorities...
keep my eye on you, but,
Good.
but, you know, I just wanted to bring that up, because I just know how sometimes things can get out of hand, but,
Sure.
you know, but to keep up on the unmandated stuff and to help you out, I mean, it's, this guy's willing to do it. I don't have a problem with
Supervisor Driscoll.
No, I'll withdraw my question.
I say this almost rhetorically, but what is the inspection personally when you're on vacation, or you take personal time, or you're sick? You could have sick time.
When I'm on vacation, if I'm around, I don't do inspections, but I keep...
So the answer is no one.
The answer is no one. However...
I just would put that out there. The only reason I told you to put that out there for the committee, that, you know, when you start adding vacation time, personal time, possibly sick time, you really look very healthy.
Don't get
You know, you start thinking about all of that, having someone who's just one day a week, or even more than one day a week, having still avoid during those times, that's not a bad thing. Well, it may equate to, say, $48,000 on an annualized basis. A lot of times with technical people like this, as you reduce the hours, it's like almost like rent. As you reduce the hours, the salary goes up. Otherwise, you can't attract the right people to the position because you're not offering enough hours. So I just would offer.
I just want, when I started this position, they did mention that the other weights and measure directors mentioned that there are no weights and measure emergencies. But you're absolutely correct. Having someone here to answer the phone and take complaints, a large part of my job is consumer protection. And in some counties, those two departments are merged. For instance, Albany County is part of the consumer protection department. And what he would be doing is largely consumer protection.
I think we have, we've discussed this thoroughly. We do have a motion and a second, unless there's something that's really pertinent to improving the value of this discussion.
Well, just quick, is something in the future, maybe we can, you can look into adding a little bit more onto the budget to, you know, as things, if you find this is working out, is, you know, budgeting a little bit more, or seeing where you can shave to put up to help save you,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, just to cover you more, because like I said, it's everything, we're getting bigger.
Yeah, and if this proves to be successful, we'll see how much average revenue goes into the county. That would offset the increase. And perhaps it could even, at some point, become a full-time assistant.
How about if I call a question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed? The motion is carried. This will go on to purchasing. Thank you very much, or personnel, rather. Julie, we're just putting one more thing on top of your list. Thank you very much, Herb. Have a good weekend. Next is purchasing, Julie Butler.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've got a very short agenda this morning.
Don't say that. We have a way of changing things. By the way, under Herb's discussion, that was like, who does this stuff? And now you know.
So my first item on the agenda is requesting a resolution authorizing Warren County to participate in the National IPA Government Cooperative Contract. We are currently already members of two cooperative contracts. One is U.S. Communities and the other one is NJPA. And basically what it is other agencies in other states do the bidding for us, but we're allowed to utilize those contracts on a national level. Our specific need right now is a contract with Lowe's, and the deal that they have with Lowe's is better than what the county was paying before. We had a contract, or we were piggybacking on a contract where we were getting 5% off. Under the IPA contract, we'll be getting 7% off, and then volume discounts over $1,500. So it's basically just another option for us when we're doing our research to find out what our best route to go is with a purchase. This will give us another thing to look at. And it's at no cost to the county.
I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Sokol, Supervisor Sokol, second was Supervisor Wild. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Second B?
Okay, and item B is a request to fill the vacant position of purchasing assistant. That was due to a resignation. The money is in the budget, and it actually will be a little bit of a savings because we'll be going back to the entry level. It is a union position as opposed to year 3 under the union contract. As far as full disclosure goes, my previous employee did not have county benefits. She did not need health insurance. If I hire somebody that does need that, I will have to come back to committee to amend my budget or request funding for those benefits.
I'll entertain a motion to approve this position. Motion made by Supervisor Leggett, second please. Supervisor McGowan, second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Have a good weekend. Next is Board of Elections, and Bill Vaness, one of our commissioners,
Afternoon,
will
I guess.
represent Board of Elections.
How are you? I've only got one thing on the agenda today, and it's, as most of you know, I sent you an email in reference to what my deputy has resigned effective today. Just chose that he didn't want to work full-time any longer. I tried to get an exit interview from him. He didn't want to do an exit interview, but he left on very good terms. I suspect in the mid-spring he'll be coming back to take over the old position that he was in. He just didn't care for the deputy's position and all the work that was included in it. It is a set salary. I do have I went out to basically a proposal out, posted this on the Warren County website for an opening. I did get 5 responses on it. 3 of them didn't fit into 2 of them were non-residents. One of them, affiliation-wise, they had to be affiliated with the Republican Party, being that they're going to be the Republican Deputy Commissioner. Didn't fall into that part. And the other 2, one of them came in highly qualified with 3 years of experience in a Board of Elections in Pennsylvania. The other one had some very high standards of clerical qualifications. After speaking with the both of them, advising them that because this is a very fragile position when you think about it, this position is filled by the commissioner. The commissioner's position is due for reappointment in December of this year. So if someone left a full-time job, came to work here, and the commissioner wasn't reappointed in December, if the political affiliation, whether it be Republican or Democrat, chose to make the recommendation to this board that they wanted someone different, which is by election law their choice to make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, that deputy would be out of a job already. So they would only be serving for 6. So it is political per se in the affiliation part. People don't want to leave a full-time position that they're in to think that it's that fragile. It is an appointment that is done every year by the commissioner. It isn't a 4-year appointment like the commissioner is. It's done every year. So the 2 of them that were there sent me nice letters thanking us and thanking me and just stating that they didn't want to leave their full-time job for taking that chance of whether it be 1 year or 4 year or whatever. So we did search out. Terry Como, I think probably many of you are very familiar with Terry. He's a retired investigator from the Sheriff's Department. Terry had taken Damian Hayes' position 8 months ago in the tech support and voting machine support system. Terry has fallen into that position. We're working right now with Trish. Terry will need a waiver from New York State retirement to come back to work, very similar to what I have. I have a fixed income waiver, which doesn't allow me to collect my retirement after I make a certain amount of money here at the county. They stop my state retirement. They would do the same thing with Terry if Terry were able to get that waiver. Terry has said to me verbally that at this point he liked the waiver, but if the waiver doesn't come through, he's still very interested in this job. He's done a great job. He's building for us greatly, and it is, Mike, Supervisor Wild, it is a unfunded, mandated position by the New York State election law, and it is an appointment of the commissioners. So I'm just seeking permission to move forward and fill the position, and
I'll entertain a motion to approve this appointment. Motion. Supervisor, or Chairman?
I just have a question. Is Commissioner been necessary to inform us, or is this some, if it's his appointment, do we need to act? Nurse?
You still need the intent to fill. So he'll still need to get the 2/3 of his committee approval to fill the position.
in just this committee, right, Mary, am I correct?
Yeah.
Because it is my appointment by election law. I make the appointment. I'm just advising this committee that I want to move forward and fill the position, and it doesn't move on to personnel or finance. It's already in the budget, and it's my position by election law.
Correct.
Okay.
So I've been straightened out. It's not to pass any decision on Terry. It's to, we give approval for him to fill the position, and
Correct.
he will move ahead as he sees fit.
Correct. Right. To fill the position.
So I'll entertain a motion to allow Bill Vaness, our election commissioner, to fill the position. Motion made by Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor McGowan. Discussion? Questions? Supervisor Rayner.
Thanks. Is he going to leave his coroner
No,
role?
and he doesn't have to. We have checked with New York State Board of Election, and what will happen when it comes down to definition of ballot time, Terry won't be able to participate, which he won't be as a deputy. He will not be doing the definition of ballot, but because the coroner is a part-time elected position every 4 years, the State Board of Elections said that's fine. He's okay. But we did check on that.
Questions? Well, Supervisor Leggett.
Yeah. Can you set the salary?
Salary's already set. Salary has to be set the same as the Democratic commissioners. As same as commissioners, our salary's set, and they have to be the same as well. It's all set. It's in the budget, and it passes the budget.
Supervisor Garrity?
No, I was just going to say, these are already set in the budget. There's no entry level or anything like that.
No further questions. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Next, we have County Clerk Pam Vogel.
And good afternoon. Welcome you to the new year. Part of this year's local law procedure will involve, by the authorization of the board, the extension of mortgage tax, what we call local mortgage tax. There are many that are new on this committee and on the board this year as well. And so I felt that it was appropriate, and hopefully you had a chance to look at it, a summary, a little past history of what mortgage tax is, how it breaks out, and eventually down to the local. And the short message on this is in 2008, I think we may recall, the financial burdens that affected, municipalities. At that time, I was asked to gather information. The county was looking to see what options they had in terms of financing county government. The local mortgage tax is an option to counties. There are other established taxes that are imposed in New York State for mortgage recordings. And those, but the local is an option. So in 2008, Warren County went through the process of setting up the local mortgage tax. Probably about half of the counties in the state have that, It goes through local law, it goes through the whole procedure, home rule, and it does need to be renewed by the county, extended on a 2-year basis. Assemblyman Steck's office contacted Warren County. I believe he contacted either the clerk of the board or upstairs here, and notified them, gave them basically a heads up that this was the year and that they may want to obviously bring this to their committees and go through the whole structure and the whole process. So, you know, we kind of go back to the beginning, and because mortgage tax is collected in the county clerk's office, I become the voice for that to bring you information. So, back in 2005 and 6, the heyday of real property, rather significant amounts of money came into Warren County through the regular mortgage tax. Things changed, of course, and that actually depleted itself quite significantly. And so that is when many counties went to looking at their options and put this forward. In the end, what does that $900,000 do? Well, it comes into the clerk's office, the clerk sends it over to the county treasurers, and at that point, I'm sure it makes a significant dent in terms of the county budget. It is tremendously supportive, and obviously the real property tax base. So it is a critical and important piece of revenue for Warren County. It does ultimately, in the end, will impact to the positive your real property tax that we put forth here in Warren County. So I did provide you a short information sheet, and then I put it out to this committee, and of course, acting chairman, has asked me to bring it to this committee.
So what you are giving us is a resolution to amend Local Law 5 of 2016, imposing the Warren County local mortgage tax by extending it for an additional 2 years starting this December, December 1 of 2018, extending into ending on December 1, 2020. I have a motion to put that on the table. Motion by Supervisor Sokol, second by Supervisor Leggett. Discussion? Questions? Supervisor Sokol.
Thank you, Chairman. So that's still at the 25 cents per 100?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That is in law. We don't change it.
Supervisor Bramer.
Is there another, I'm racking my brain to think of another local tax that we can impose on transfers? Is that a transfer tax?
You're talking about the real estate transfer tax.
In addition to the New York State, we could, like Essex County has an
They
additional.
recently, I think they passed one. Yes. There are, I can put together a fact sheet on it. The process is somewhat involved, and it was looked at by the board in 2008, 9, 10. And so we could gather some information for you for that. I can pull that back out. I mean, there may be some changes to it. But in terms of, its dollar value, I couldn't speak to, what the dollar value would be for that, how it would translate, and exactly how it's not percentage, okay? We're dealing with 25 cents per 100, but it is a different setup, but happy to gather some information and send it to you. It has been explored in the past, but certainly options today.
Supervisor McGowan.
Boy, were you thinking of taking this one on and adding that one, or adding another tax?
Well, I think we should continue this one. And
I
then...
mean, this one's been in place, yeah,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
It always hurts when you see another tax that we have to pay. I was just hoping you weren't thinking about sneaking another one in, you know?
No, I wasn't thinking about sneaking it
All
in,
right.
but I was thinking, Essex County charges, I don't know if it's an additional mortgage tax, I just can't remember, or if it's an additional transfer tax. Or do they charge they can't charge any more than 25 cents per $100.
Not on the mortgage.
Not on the mortgage. They can't.
They can.
So that is a whole separate thing. Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's it?
That's it.
Thank you, Pam. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Now, next on the agenda is
County
County Attorney Mary Cassane.
I will talk and have it out. Sure. I need to request an executive session to talk about a settlement for ongoing litigation. And also, I need to talk about a contract, but in order to talk about the contract, I also need to talk about pending litigation, that as well.
Make a motion to go into executive session, to discuss pending litigation
Second of the motion, Supervisor McGowan, second. All in favor?
and contracts.
And if
Opposed?
it's okay with everyone on the board, if Julie can stay, because she has something to add to the conversation.
Yes.
All right. Is the door closed?
So the first item on my agenda.
Okay. We're out of executive session. No decisions were made in executive session. So now we're in open session. Mary, I'll turn it back to you, please.
So I need a resolution to accept a settlement offer of $3,000 in Warren County versus Russell.
Have a motion for that, Supervisor Sokol, second. Supervisor Leggett, second. Discussion? Call a question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Requesting a resolution to extend the expiration date of the contract with Bartlett Pontiff Stewart Roads till December 31st of 2018.
Motion made by Supervisor Leggett, second, please. Second by Supervisor McGowan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is that it? Okay. Anyone want to address the committee? Thank you, all were wonderful. Thanks for letting me serve this first meeting. Hopefully you'll allow me to come back next month.
No, there isn't.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Or you let us
The
become...
Slim Association.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor McGowan. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, folks. Have a great weekend.